cover chapter 11. It's about authentication and account management. All right, this is, something says there, what we are, or I'm sorry, where we are, what you have, what you are, what you do, and what you know. Okay, here's examples of all of them. Key fobs, facial recognition, combinations, and does anyone notice things are changing? Who has two-factor authentication? Anybody? Wow, 3 of you. Anybody online using two-factor authentication?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. If you're not using it, you really need to. A good reason for it is, for instance, if I was to give you my Gmail username and password, you could not log in because you need a code, or you basically, it's going to ask you for something. A funny story about that, I was actually teaching in this room one night, and someone kept trying to log into my Apple TV, or to my Apple account. I didn't know it was my Apple TV at the time. Kept going on over and over and over every few minutes. And it turns out when I got home, my mother-in-law accidentally signed off the Apple TV, so she's trying to sign back in, and I had the username and password remembered, but I had to hit allow on my phone, which I kept saying deny because I didn't know it was her. But it's getting to the point where, usernames and passwords are not going to be around too much longer, okay? So let's talk about passwords. You're asked to identify yourself with the username and password. Like it says, it's the most common type, but they're probably the weakest. Because, we write them down. I was logging in some site today. It was the Department of Education site. I had to have a password that was between 12 and 20 in length. So is that good? What do you think? It's not bad. But why would they limit me to 20? Why not 30? But they did. I had to have 4 of the, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters. So I had to have all 4 of those, which was good. A lot of places will require 2 or 3. So that was good. But I was like, why did they limit it to 20? I use LastPass and it automatically generates all mine. So now I'm assuming we've all seen this website before. How secure is my password? And now I'm going to just go here to this website real quick. Maybe. Okay. And if you've never been here, you should try this. I'm going to put in the password I'm using right now for my Rose account. So what do you think? Good or bad? I mean, it's good. It's 8 months worth. Since they make me change it every couple months, it's not a big deal. But now let me put in my LastPass password. There. That's much better one. Now that's actually a phrase. Okay. So if you've never used this website, they don't break your password. They're just using based on what you're typing in, how theoretically long to take to break it. So if you've never used that website,
so they don't record your password.
Yeah, they don't record it. They're not recording it. You're not submitting anything. So, but if you've never used it, you should try that. All right. It says weakness passwords linked to human memory. We can only remember so much. They say we can actually only remember 4 things. I was listening to a book about that, and remembering stuff is tough. Okay, we're limited on what we can remember, so we end up writing it down. If you don't, and we use password management things. Some of you must. Alec, you do. Do you use one? You have one yet? Not yet. Okay, but you're gonna have to something like Dashling's a good one. I think 1Password's a good one. LastPass is another. What do y'all use? What do you use, Alex? LastPass.
Yeah, I use
LastPass.
Actually, I think mine like on my phone on the app thing.
That's what I used to do too when I had my phone.
Okay, the keychain's okay. The problem with that is, say if it's on my phone and I need to log in on my desktop, how am I going to get the password? So it sucks. And but yeah, keychain's good. But there's no way to see the passwords in your keychain, is there? There is? Oh, that's right, you can. You can open up the keychain. That's right, you can. Okay, I guess that would work.
You have to have a Mac, though.
Yeah, you have to do it on that. Yeah, that's right. You can do that. Okay. It says long, complex passwords are most effective, but they're hard to remember. My OSU password is 30 characters long. Obviously, I don't know what that is, but OSU's, And it can't have your name, and it can't have a prior password in it, can't have a word in it, which sucks, because even when I use LastPass to generate, every now and then LastPass is generating your password with a word in it, like and or something, and it rejects it. I'm like, what? It's 30 characters long. Oh, but it's got and in the middle of it or something, you know. It says, users must remember passwords for many different accounts. So the fix for that, a lot of people use the same password. Is that good? No, bad idea. We're going to see about that here in a second. So each account passwords should be unique, which is the hard part. And policies mandate they must expire, stuff like that. So let's talk about some of the. It says, what do? We use weak passwords. We use common words. We use pets' names. Like Paris Hilton's, her password was Tinkerbell, which was her dog's name. So it's just crazy what people use, or they write it down. It says when attempting to create strong ones, they generally follow predictable patterns. They put a number at the end. For instance, Rose State defaults faculty or admin or adjunct passwords to the word password1. So what do you think a lot of adjuncts do? They must change it. So they change password1 to password2. Then password3. I had an adjunct call me one day. Says, I'm not in school and I need to change my password. Just change it to 9. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was on 8, changed it to password 9. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, you know, it's crazy. So it's when attempting to create the general, yeah, we said predictable pattern. So and here's the top 10. You know, and it's crazy stuff. Like the president of Syria a couple years ago, password was broken. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just crazy stuff. Okay. Social engineering. A lot of people give out their passwords. A lot of people write down their passwords. You know, I was sitting at the Will Rogers Airport. I'm assuming we've all been through the airport in the past, and I remember, you know, they're going to open that door to go out to the jetway. They got those things, and I was actually watching them. Every single person, they literally went over to that little area, covered their body around it before they put in the code, which was actually very good. But a lot of people don't do that. They sit there and, you know, you can watch what they're typing. ATM codes. Does anyone actually use an ATM? Use your card as a debit card?
Have a debit card. Sometimes.
Do you use a credit card or debit card?
Debit card.
Should always use a credit card. There's a big difference. If you use yours is probably a Visa debit card, isn't it? If you use it as a debit card and somebody gets your PIN, they can get all your money. Use a credit card, you're protected by Visa, so you're good. So I never use a debit card. The only ever uses debit card is at the ATM to get money. Okay, key loggers, protocol analyzers, man-in-the-middle attacks. And there's a lot of different stuff out there. Kane, a totally free program which you can use to capture passwords. Now, if they're in clear text, it's pretty much. But since reset, it says hackers gains physical access to your computer and then reset your password. So a lot of people resets them for you. And if they know the words. Okay, offline attacks. It says method used by the most common forms today. They steal your password files, they steal the etc. file, then they break them. You can steal the which ones are stored in Windows? Which registry is it in? Security? I can't remember where it's stored all of a sudden. I can't remember which hive it's security, where Windows stores it. You can actually get a copy of the security registry off the config directory and use that to break passwords. Here's different ways. They can talk about each one, brute force and all the rest of them. Brute force, try every possible combination. That could take a while. There's a lot of tools that automate that for you, like PRTK, and there's just tons of them. It says it's the slowest, but it will try everything. So it could take forever, but it will get there. Okay, NTLM hashes, they don't mention it here, I don't think. They actually store your password in 7-character chunks. You ever seen that? Anyone know that? And if you use a program like Kane, it'll actually show you the 2 different chunks. So a 8-character password on Windows NTLM is basically a 7-character password and a 1-character password. So it's really not much better. But, you know, they're talking about here how you can steal the hash and send it to people and break the hash. Mask attack. This is where you can change certain characters. Like if I know that the road state password is password 1, and I'm going to try to break adjunct's accounts, what do you think the quickest and easiest way to do is? Change the last character. Obviously, we know people doing it, so I think they show us a picture here where you can go in and say, okay, you know, we're only going to change certain characters of the password. But if you know the format of it, you can come up with a plan to make it easier. So rather than trying everything, just change, you know, the last character, stuff like that. They also talk about languages and just lots of different stuff. So the mask attack is a little bit different, but it just could possibly speed up the breaking of passwords. Dictionary attacks, I added a little bit to this one, especially using dictionary words. Okay? A lot of people do that because they don't like randomness. Now, look at the bottom, the last bullet, birthday attacks. I added the part after that. There's something called the birthday problem or birthday paradox. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. That it was a 99% probability that 2 people have the same birthday if there's 57 people in the room. It's weird because if you think the year is actually 365 days long, so they're not evenly distributed. And there's a 50% probability with 23 people. So basically what they're saying is the odds are very high that people will use the same hash, in other words, the same password. And if people use the same password or use the same password on multiple sites, that can become a problem. So, you know, don't do it, but people do it, okay? Rainbow tables. What a rainbow table is if I'm trying to break a password, what do you think is easier, doing the calculation and then doing the comparison, or just doing the comparison?
Just comparison.
Just the comparison. So what a rainbow table is a bunch of pre-calculated password hashes. So someone has gone in there and taken all A's, figured out what the hash of that is, then all B's, and did it for every combination of letters and numbers. I took a class down in Houston, and the guy had a rainbow table of every combination of up to 11 characters. And
It's a big fight.
it was huge. It was, I think, was it 4
Several pages.
terabytes? No, it was terabytes. It was. I needed a 2 terabyte drive, so it was almost 2 terabytes in size. And I brought it, and I actually had it here, but we ran out of space at one point and had to get rid of it. But it's really every combination of passwords. Then all you have to do is a comparison. It's so much quicker, much faster. Okay. If you've never played with a rainbow table, there's one called what's the name? Kids with a OpCrack. OPH crack. OpCrack. You can download pre-made tables with those. Now they're not going to have fancy words, but it's really a cool program. And if you've never seen it, I do not have it installed, so I can't run it. But it's
They're not going to get 2 terabytes.
no. You can go to OpCrack right here, and you can download the program for free. Then you can go over here and you can download all free XP tables, XP free. These are rainbow tables based on certain character sets. It's like if you look at this one here, look at all the characters. This is all numbers and letters, upper and lower. And this is the same one here, and this one includes special characters as well. So you can download this program, then you import your password hash, and it breaks them nearly instantly. They're very, 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 very fast. But look at the size. So the one includes numbers, lowercase, uppercase, and special characters is 7.5 gigabytes in size.
How many like character length are those?
I don't know the length they support. I don't know. It's probably up to like 8. Does it tell us in here?
Oh,
14. It doesn't say the length of the. Oh, there they are. Yeah.
XP passwords. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, if you look at the size, all the tables together, but we don't need it. But so we're just talking numbers, uppercase and lowercase is 380 gig. So what did they add on this one? What's the difference on this one? I can't see a difference.
probably just another character length.
It could be, because it's double the size. Then this one includes the special characters are up to 7.5 gigs.
That one's German.
Yeah, in German, 7.4 gigs. So there's more down here. Vista free tables. There's just lots of them. So, wow, 52 gigs in size. Why? Character set is numbers, lowercase, the first letter capitalized. Wow. So crazy stuff. But it's a cool program to play with, and it breaks lots of passwords. So, okay, so that's an example where rainbow tables are. Okay, and it says using rainbow tables to crack them. We talked to it says they start with initial password and then change it up. So password collections. There's a lot of passwords out there. They talk about this guy where someone broke in and stole more than 32 million user passwords. So lots of stuff given out there. Securing passwords says depends on how well it's done in the enterprise, involves properly managing passwords and protecting passwords. And I'm going to get to something here in a minute to show it to you. Managing passwords. Do not write them down. Do not passwords that consist of dictionary words. Do not repeat character sets. Do not use birthdays, pets' names, so on and so forth. Okay. Also use non-keyboard characters. Y'all know what ASCII characters are? It's like Alt. Anyone know what a space is? Alt 255. Let me show you what that is. So for those of you, say I wrote my name. If I go between these, if I hold down the alternate key and type in 255, it actually put a space, but that is not the same thing as that space I put right there. Two totally different things. So even though they look like the same thing, they're not. One's an alt character and one is a space. Even though they're technically the same, they're not necessarily the same. Okay. And here we go. Here's the character map showing some of this stuff. Okay, password managers. There's lots of them out there. They can use to store them, like the vaults. They can use them to generate, like they talked about there. And they're just wonderful. And this next session is talking about salts. Salt is combining something. Say we have the word password, and if we use the MD5 hash on that, it would be the same word every time. But with salt, you actually append something to the beginning of it or prepend it, so it changes slightly. And I don't know, Ubuntu does that. A lot of the programs do that. Okay, let's see. We don't need this stuff. They go way in depth on all this stuff. Now let's talk about multi-factor. It says, we know what multi-factor is. If you've never seen it, that's where you have something beyond username and passwords, like I mentioned at the beginning. Maybe you have a Google Authenticator or 2FTP or some other program that generates it for us. You have another factor. Or you have a token or your cell phone. Now, yeah, well, actually, I guess the online can see this. Let me bring it up here. Let me find it. There it is. Where is it? I lost my thing. There it is. Okay. So here's what it looks like. Those of you online can see it. Those are my codes. They're good for 1 minute. You guys can see them here. They change every minute. Okay. That's 2STP, but there's also Google Authenticator does it. Okay, the last password thing, where's the Google one? Oh, I put it in a different folder. Come on. But then I got a couple of my converter of my Google Authenticator. So it's just different codes that are generated every minute, and that will change. I should put another 45 seconds. But if you don't have something like that, you really need to get it. It's very, very handy. Okay, tokens. It says user create a one-time password, and there's also security, hardware security, like RSA was one of the very first ones that came out with them. Let's see if we can find a picture of one of those. An RSA security token. Spell it right. You should be able to see one. There you are. That's what they look like. If they have the same kind of code I just showed you, that are, they're synchronized. And, the cool thing was this, the one I use on my phone, I didn't use it in Mexico when my phone was on airplane mode. So they work perfectly. And this is what an RSA token looks like. Okay. They're probably one of the original ones. Okay. They're synchronized with the server. They're generated from an algorithm. Like it says, they change every 30 to 60 seconds. Okay. There's event-driven ones. Let's see what else. Advantage over passwords. Tokens change frequently. There's a good point there. These tokens change all the time. So even if they know the username and password, they're not going to be able to get in. Okay. And here's an example of it. You have a token. There's a code. I mean, PayPal does it now. Who else does it? Most of the companies are now requiring. Y'all use PayPal? Does it have to send you a code whenever you log in? Yeah. Yours doesn't? Maybe I had to turn it on in mine. Yeah, I thought. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, because it sucks. I was on 2 cruises back to back, and I had these. It was hard to get those codes sometimes, but they do work out. So on my Mac, they just come in there. But here you see the username and passwords, and they come up with a code. Okay. Smart cards. You know, a smart card it's like your CAC card if you're in the military, which they won't give me one, which is terrible. Okay. It has a contact card in it with an electronic chip, and it does something. That's the Department of Defense uses them. They also have barcode, magnetic strip type stuff. Okay. Here's a picture of a smart card, and it has a small little chip inside of it. Okay. Cell phones, that's what I showed you on my phone. A lot of people are using those to generate tokens, and they work very well. Okay. This website, have you ever been pwned or owned? Anyone ever checked their email in here? I checked mine this afternoon, and all this was on it. What this means is my email address was present on all of these systems when they were broken into. So I didn't even know what Exactus is, but in June 2018, on the left side here, this whatever this company is, they were broken into, and my email address was present in their system, so it could potentially be stolen. I mean, Dropbox, LinkedIn, you know, just MyFitnessPal. I mean, we think we have these apps and they're fun and they're free, but just because I have MyFitnessPal, it says 144 million emails were stolen, along with the hashes for the passwords. So if someone has a copy of what was stolen from MyFitnessPal, and they have my email address and my password hash, they could literally use brute force and take as long as possible and get my password. Then if I ever use that password at another site, guess what? They now have it. And I do not remember getting a notification from any of these telling me my stuff's been stolen. It sucks. I mean, look at Dropbox, you know, Adapt, Verifications, whoever that is. Isn't B2B the Better Business Bureau? B2B, I don't know. But it's just crazy. So you should put in your email address. I think I did that with my, was that my Rose address or my personal address? I'll just let me in there anyway. Okay. I'm going to put in my Rose email. And here it comes. Yeah, this is my Rose email. Look at all these accounts. That's all the ones I was just showing you. Yeah, it's crazy. Now I'm going to do it again with my personal email. My personal email just says Dropbox, which is better because I don't use that one for as much stuff. But it's just crazy that, you know, it happens. So, yeah, if you've never checked that stuff, I put a link on there, so go look at that stuff. Okay. All right, biometrics. We have standard, we have cognitive. Standard is, you could be physical characteristics, your fingerprint or something like that. There are specialized scanners. We've all seen, you know, the James Bond movies and all them where they have iris scanners. You know, we actually owned a cheapy iris scanner here. I could never get it to authenticate me. I tried forever. It's probably up in room 220. I don't know where it's at. But they don't work very good unless you buy the expensive ones. Now, fingerprint scanners do better. Now, what do y'all think about the facial one on the iPhone? Does anyone have an iPhone 10? You do? You have any issues with it?
No.
I'm surprised it works good in the dark.
Yeah.
But did you see when they originally came out with it, Tim Cook said that identical twins will?
He said there's a chance, yeah.
Yeah, there's a good chance, so you might want to set a code in there as well, or in place of it. But I mean, it's crazy how well this stuff is starting to work. So, yep. Retina scanners, fingerprint scanners, facial scanners. There's a picture of a fingerprint scanner. Years ago, I had the Microsoft, they had external fingerprint scanners you could buy years ago, and I had one. And my son, it was funny because I was using it, but it was like a gel material and actually left my fingerprint on there. He took a piece of saran wrap, put it over, just pushed down on it with his palm, let it right in. Because it had a picture of my fingerprint on the gel. It sucked. Okay. So voice recognition, I haven't done much with that yet, but it's getting there. I think the movie Sneakers had it in there, where Robert Redford and them breaking into banks. If you never watched it, that's really a good show. But they have voice recognition on there, and here's iris scanner. We already talked about facial recognition. So the disadvantage is the cost. They're expensive. The readers are expensive. We had biometric. We had fingerprint scanners on 3 of the labs upstairs. We had them on there for quite a few years. It was funny because we originally had carpeting in this building. All the floors, the hallways were carpeted. So what do you think happened with those biometric scanners in the wintertime? People walked down the carpet and put the finger on it. They would basically shocked it 8,000 times a day. It's crazy. They all quit working except for one, so we just took them all down. Okay. And they can be tricked. There was a Mythbusters episode. Anyone see that one where they were breaking the fingerprint scanner and all that? Jamie had to break Adam's password, but it's just, I don't know if any of them are foolproof at this point. So, okay, cognitive. It says related to perception, thought process. And there's actually, let's look at the pictures of them. You know, have you ever seen the picture password ones where you have to recognize a picture? That's something new that some places have. It shows pictures of people you might know, and you actually have to pick those out. It's kind of crazy. And what else did they talk about there? Yeah. Picture password introduced by Windows. I've seen it just a couple times. Yeah, you have to identify specific faces. Okay. It says user selects one of several memorable events. Okay. And what they're talking about here, keystroke dynamics. When I was up in Tulsa, there was a girl actually doing a research on that. She would walk around with her laptop and had us all type this phrase. It's very accurate. And there's actually a website. I can find out, not that, not what I wanted. If I can, I think it was called Keystroke Dynamics, and there was a website you could go to. Is this the one? There's one you can actually use, and it was just amazing how well it works. Oh, we have to install it. Yeah, there's a website, though. You can actually do it right on the website. Let's go 3. So that's the JavaScript I want to use. Well, I just want to try it. Can't remember the company that has it. Oh well, but there are out there, and there's actually a part of ProctorU that does that. I have not enabled it, but y'all know what ProctorU is now, test proctoring. I can set it up where it would require you to do what's called a contact card, I think. I can enable it in the middle of a quiz or something. And the first time you do it, you would have to type in. It would pop up, and it would basically tell you to type this phrase. And then if it ever comes up again, it would have you type different phrases, and it checks the keyboard dynamics of your typing. That way, you know, maybe we got Quinn over here doing it the first time, and then if Alex tries to log in as Quinn, he won't be able to type the same way. It's just, I don't know, I might have to enable that just so y'all can see what it does. It's kind of crazy, but it's pretty nice. They talk about, you know, dwell time, the time it takes to press a key, and the flight time, time between keys, how long you hold keys down. It's just, it's crazy the stuff they can do nowadays. Here's a picture of it. And as long as you type within that template, I mean, y'all have, well, do you guys ever take typing classes? Even
7th grade.
7th, okay.
Like, treasury, yeah.
None of you have ever typed on an actual manual typewriter, have you? Have you seen one? I learned on the kind where you know, push the thing over and the bing and all that stuff. But you have a definite pattern when you type. Like it shows down here at the bottom. The attacker cannot type the same way because you type like. How many of you can type the numbers on the top row without looking at it? Very consistently. Anybody? I can't. Now the numbers on the number pad, well, I can type those all day long. But you know, different people can type different things. And is there any? Okay, I never use the right-hand shift key. Does anyone not use the right-hand shift key? You know, I thought it was funny because that's why I got carpal tunnel in this hand because of that, by the way. So you might have this problem. But I noticed my Microsoft Surface's keyboard does not have a right-hand shift key. So I'm assuming a lot of people have the same issue I have. Yeah, so I'm trying to use it, and it's very hard because I'm so used to not using it.
I never find it, like, when would I use that?
Well, what you're supposed to do is when you're typing a letter on the right-hand side of the keyboard, like a capital K, you're supposed to use the left shift key. But when you type a capital A, you're supposed to use the right-hand shift key because you're having to hit the shift key and the A at the same time. So that's why it's an issue.
I've never used the left shift key.
Never, you always use the right? Well, then don't ever get a Surface because you don't have the right one anymore. It's gone. So, wow, I don't ever use the right one.
I guess I play games where you have to use WASD and then shift.
Yeah.
So I'm used to pressing shift and,
Yeah.
that's how you
Maybe that's why I learned to do it that way. All right, geolocation. That's actually becoming quite popular in a lot of apps nowadays, but maybe you can only log in from a certain location, which makes sense. You got to be at work to be able to log into work, stuff like that. Says used most often to reject imposters instead of accepting authorized users. Because if you're at work, you should be able to log into work. But my question is now a lot of places do telework, so I guess you can make it so you can log in from home. I guess you could do that. So, okay. All right. We're getting there. Identity management, single sign-on. I actually put a comment here at the bottom. This is as of last week. Rose State has finally come up with a solution. We're going to be using something called Quick Launch. I wasn't there when they did the demos, but very soon, literally as of last week, it was going for the president's approval to purchase it. We'll have a single sign-on solution. And like it says here, allow to share credentials across multiple networks. So if I log into my Rose computer, I should be able to share it with my Canvas system. You know what I mean? Like currently, when I'm on my Rose computer, I can bring up Outlook without signing in. But I still have to sign in again to get into PeopleSoft or Oasis. Now, why should I have to do that? You know, if I'm already logged into my computer, but yeah, we'll be switching to that very soon. It'll affect you students as well. It holds promise to reduce the burden of usernames and passwords to just one. But now the problem comes with that, so I log into my work computer and don't lock my machine and walk away. Now what happens?
Anyone that opens up has access.
Now
to all your
you walk up to my machine, you get into everything. So that's a bad thing. So, but you know, we'll be switching to that very soon. Okay. says managing user accounts can be done by setting password rules, which we already talked about, but making them too tough makes people write them down. So many people. I would hate, I don't know what Mary has for her passwords, and I don't know if she writes them down or not. But she'd have to. I mean, I don't know. Unless this is her only password she ever uses, which could be as well. She might have to write it down. Okay. So, you know, it's just hard to manage all this stuff. They talk about managing it through password settings, through account lockout policies. And was it the last time I taught her, didn't I mention something about a problem my account keep getting locked out? Found out what the problem was. Believe it or not, Sean figured it out for me. Because I was on a cruise, and I had no problem with it while I was there. Virginia came in that Tuesday night, and my account was locked out. She's like, what the heck? How? Because I wasn't even in a computer, but it was already locked out. Well, it turns out on my Mac at home, I have Outlook. Well, I had Outlook. When I started having this issue, I removed it. Thought that was the problem. I totally forgot that the default mail program for Mac is called Mail. And I also put in my user credentials for that and also into the calendar, and it stored them all separately. So what it was Mail and my calendar were always trying to log in from my Mac, and they both had the wrong credentials. So and it just so happened that if I typed it wrong one time when those two tried to log in, it locked me out. So yeah, it wasn't fun, but it's fixed now. At least I think it is, because
There's another.
I removed those two accounts, and I've not had a problem since then. So I've gone like a full week now without a problem. So, yeah, because it really, last Monday was my first day back. Literally, I came in here that morning to go to the gym. My account was locked out. I'm like, we just got back, so just now we know. I think I know what it is. Let's see. Okay. Other steps to take. There's a shared account, a generic account, and a guest account should be prohibited. Should never have guest account, yet they are still on some systems. Monitor privileges account, disable account passwords instead of deleting accounts, okay? And make strict policies. Now this transitive trust, let me talk about what a transitive trust is. So if I trust Quinn, that means Quinn trusts me. That's a two-way transitive trust, okay? Windows domains you, not directly. It's funny because when I worked at Tinker, I was in the software development flight for a while, and we wanted to set up a trust between the Tinker domain and our test domain. But not two-way, we just wanted one-way. We wanted so that our Tinker credentials would allow us to log into the test system, but we didn't want it the other way since it was the test system. It's funny, I presented it to the guy in charge, and was like, no, there's absolutely no trust relationship around whatsoever on a military domain. He didn't realize that two-way transitive trusts are on all Active Directory domains. Tinker has them. They are here. They're everywhere. People just don't realize it. So it was bad. So it's a trust relationship that's automatically created between parent and child domains in Active Directory. You cannot get rid of it. If you get rid of it, the domain will not function. So yeah, that was just pretty funny guy. Okay, that's it. Pretty short and sweet chapter. And I think there's a lab for this chapter. Any questions from anybody? Is anyone still there?
I'm here.
At least one person. Good. All right.